Hello there, I'm Laurie Williams, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about stained hands. If you use alcohol ink like I do, then you find that when you're using the ink that your hands get stained. Now, the obvious solution to this is to prevent getting stained to start with, and that would be to wear gloves. Or you could also use a product that I found recently called Gloves in a Bottle. Gloves in a Bottle is like a lotion that you rub on your hands before you start painting, and then after you're done, your alcohol ink will wash off quickly. Today I want to talk to you about a mixture that seems to work for many folks. Now, I've always used part of this mixture and it's worked fine, and that is using Dawn Dishwashing Liquid. Dawn Dishwashing Liquid is pretty strong and it will take the ink off your hands in most cases. If you mix that with baking soda, you have a little bit more powerful solution to clean your hands. Now, what I found in my test is I've created the solution and it worked pretty good for taking the ink off, but it didn't come off 100%. So what I would recommend doing is using a lubricant ahead of time. So after you're done painting, use a moisturizer on your hands such as mineral oil or baby oil, and let that sit for a couple of minutes and then use this solution, and I think you'll find that it works much better. Now, like I mentioned, the best thing to do is prevent it in the first place by wearing gloves. You can wear latex gloves, surgical gloves. There is a product called Gloves in a Bottle. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what recipe I use to make the dishwashing liquid and baking soda scrub. Okay, to get started, I have a few items here. You can use whatever measuring devices that you have. I have some Betty Crocker brand, doesn't matter what brand you use, measuring spoons. I've got a small container of baking soda, and I have a small container of Dawn dishwashing liquid. I also have a small container with a lid. This is just like one of those plastic lids. This is a Rubbermaid. You could get pretty much anywhere. I think Dollar Tree even has some nice ones of these. This is something to store it in, but I'm going to mix it up in a little glass dish. And what the mixture that I found that works the best is to use 1 part baking soda to 3/4 part Dawn dishwashing liquid. So to demonstrate this, I am going to use 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So I got 1 teaspoon of that. And then I want to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of the Dawn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 1/2 teaspoon measuring, and I am going to fill that up, pour that in, and then I'll use the 1/4. That will give me 3/4. I tried to use 1/2, and it didn't quite give me the consistency I was looking for. It was more pasty than I wanted. So I found that 1 part to 3/4 parts works great. So if you wanted to mix up a whole cup of it, you would use 1 cup of the baking soda and 3/4 cup of the Dawn. And this is the consistency that this makes. And what we're going to do next is we're going to give that a try. I'm first going to lubricate my hands with a little bit of mineral oil. So I have a pretty stained finger here. I'm just going to pour a little bit of this mineral oil in my hand. I pour too much, of course, always do. And I am just going to rub my hands with it. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to come over to my sink, and then we're going to use this mixture to remove this ink from my hands. Okay, now I've let the mineral oil sit and I've rubbed it into my hands pretty good, and you can see that I still have ink on my hands. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mixture and sit it here, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to rub it on pretty generously onto the stained area, and I'm just going to give it a rub for a couple minutes here. Put a little more on. Let's set this out of the way. I'm going to turn on my water. Rinse. And you can see most of the ink has come off, but it's not 100% off, so I'm going to give it one more pass. I will tell you that the stream is highly pigmented dye, if that makes sense, a pigmented dye. And so it does stain pretty good, and it's one of the hardest to get off, which is why I wanted to test this one. And there you have it. Most of the ink is off. I can still see a little bit, but for the most part it's done. And if I go about my business for an hour or so and I come back and just wash my hands again, it will be all gone. Thanks for sticking with me through this experiment. I would say that it worked about 90%. There's a tiny bit of stain left on my hand, but I know from experience if I come back in about an hour and just wash my hands with regular soap, I won't see any stain at all. I did notice that my hands are a little dry, so I recommend using a moisturizer or hand cream afterwards just to moisturize your skin. Now, if you have tips and tricks that you use that work for removing alcohol ink from your stained hands, I'd like to hear about it. So leave your tips and tricks for removing stain from your hands in the comments below. If you like these kind of tips and you would like for us to continue bringing those to you here on their YouTube channel, please subscribe and let us know in the comments below as well. Thanks, and I will see you on the next Ink Spot.
Come learn, create, and share with us. It's a life-changing opportunity.